Well, Obama, aside from the directive, also talked about smart guns as a way to prevent unregistered gun owners and children from being able to use firearms, likening it to medicine bottles. Eric, do you think that pushing gun manufacturers to create more of these ways that only one person or licensed user can use the gun is a way to make a dent in what would essentially be a gun violence epidemic in this country?
Well, I was looking into smart guns because I wanted to try to understand more about them, speak about it. But from my understanding, it puts like a lock on it or some kind of fingerprint or some kind of mechanism to stop people from using, which is fine. But first off, I think, eventually that could be hacked or they could be basically compromised in such a way that the gun can still be used. Also, it puts a burden on society to want to adopt those. And if you have people right now, they'll just avoid buying smart guns and they'll still buy the other ones that do not have that kind of technology. And then I guess it also begs the question of how well will this technology work? I don't think it's a bad thing to implement it. And I think with all of this new directive order for gun control, it's more of like a safe point for the Democrats. They released a bunch of talking points. None of them really go too far or do too much, but it's all things that the Republicans can't challenge without looking like it's background checks. Okay, that's fair. Let's make sure guns go into people's hands that aren't going to go shoot up the school. Okay, if a Republican disagrees with that, makes them look stupid. Smart guns. That might be the one they fight.
It might make them look stupid, but it certainly hasn't stopped most Republicans from coming out against the.
No, of course.
About the smart guns. I was just going to say about the smart guns. I mean, there is a very key reason why that isn't going on. Because again, I think it would probably work as well as, say, your fingerprint sensor on your cell phone, which, maybe 50% of the time. And there's arguments that, like, especially if it's a police officer and for some reason the biometrics don't work, that could end up that could result in a dead cop. But I do think that, we do live in a free market society, at the risk of sounding like I should be joining my pals at the refuge. If they put them on the market, gun owners can buy them, not buy them, however they want. The technology can improve or stagnate as it does.
That's right.
But the thing that's preventing it is that there is a law in the books in New Jersey that says the second a smart gun is available for sale in the United States anywhere, the only guns that can be sold in New Jersey are smart guns.
Right.
And so that alone is why, whether gun owners like it or not, or the NRA likes high-tech guns or not, they're going to fight it tooth and nail.
Well, it begs the question, too, is that, like you said, that law especially, but if that became a national thing where if smart guns existed, that was the only one you could purchase, first, how do you filter all these old guns out of society? You can't. And so then you're trapped with, people that have old-style guns and smart guns, and the government can't regulate that. There's no possible way. So really,
there's people who still use flip phones. I have a friend who she refuses to use a phone other than a flip phone. So,
right.
Even if 90% of people are like, I want a damn smart gun, there are still going to be people who want a revolver or your standard Glock.
Sure. Or flintlock rifles. I mean, the only thing that might
muskets.
Some muskets. The only thing that gives this potentially, and God, this sounds even more cynical than usual here today, potentially some legs, is the gun manufacturers couldn't see a giant opportunity. I mean, this is like getting everybody to switch from vinyl to CDs to downloading back to vinyl. I mean, how the hell many times do I have to buy Kiss Alive to keep up with the newest format? And so the idea of saying, we can get a percentage of gun owners to go out and buy brand new guns, smart guns, and certainly smart guns are going to cost more than dumb guns, I guess. There might be a little bit of push from the manufacturers. That said, what we're talking about here basically is trying to legislate in some way responsible gun ownership. And there are other things that could be done. For example, I would have liked to hear Obama talk about the responsibility of the gun owner to control his or her weapon. In other words, if a kid, we've done some articles on Latest.com about how many children have picked up firearms and shot somebody, oftentimes themselves or a sibling. If a child picks up a loaded weapon at home, then the parent has some responsibility. The parent can be arrested based on that type of thing. If a gun owner doesn't have a gun safe, for example, in his or her house, and a thief comes in and steals the guns, the gun owner has some kind of liability for that. None of these things are perfect. None of them are, wait for it, the magic bullet to solve this problem, but they're all part of a solution. And the smarter we are, and I think the simpler we are, I mean, great, let's let the research continue on smart guns. I think there's some value there. But we could start very easily with laws about gun safes or parental responsibility or anything along those lines. And I think...
Well, that's the real crime of the NRA, is because we are having a one-sided discussion about guns. There's one party talking about trying to do something about guns, and then the other party is saying, fuck you from my cold, dead hands. You know, if we could have, say, you know, Republicans sort of ideas and input of responsible ways to address gun problems with gun violence, it would be I think the solutions we would come up with would be better. You know, it's because when, you know, tunnel vision is never good for any issue. And so when you have one side that you know, that gets no pushback and is not forced to evolve their ideas or thinking in any way because it's not challenged in a reasonable way, you are going to end up with things like these executive orders that sound good but really don't amount to much.